and I broke. That night, I sent Daryl a message, asking for 3 days off to bury my son. The next morning, I came into work to drop some files off. He called me into his office. "Heard your boy kicked the bucket." My knees almost buckled. "Excuse me?" "Relax, Caleb. I mean, the kid was, what, never going to walk, talk, or do anything useful. Maybe it's a blessing. You can finally focus on your job." He laughed. Actually laughed. You're talking about my son." "Come on, man. Don't get emotional. People die every day. What do you want? A parade?" I turned around before I did something stupid. Walked straight out of that building. I buried my son 2 days later, alone. No friends, no coworkers, just me, a casket, and a sky that refused to rain. When I returned to work, Daryl handed me my payslip. He had deducted 3 days from my salary. "You didn't file a leave request properly. Company policy." That was the day something inside me snapped. My name's Caleb, and I'm not proud of everything I've done, but I'll tell you this. I loved my son more than anything on this planet. After my wife Lydia passed away 3 years ago from breast cancer, my whole world became that little boy in the wheelchair, Eli. He had cerebral palsy, couldn't talk much, couldn't move much, but he could smile. And man, that smile could brighten the whole damn world. I worked as an operations manager at a logistics company called Transtel Global, and my boss, Mr. Daryl Benton, was the kind of man who thought empathy was a disease. Daryl strutted into the office like a king. He always wore his arrogance like a tailored suit. "Morning, peasants. Hope you all remembered your places in the food chain today." He'd laugh. No one else did. If you didn't laugh, he'd remember. And trust me, you didn't want him remembering you. Once, an intern named Sophie was 5 minutes late because the bus broke down. He locked her outside the building for an hour in the cold. Then he docked her entire day's pay.
"Sir, please, it won't happen again."
"Oh, I know it won't, because next time you're fired." Then there was Tom, one of the accountants, who came down with malaria. He sent a doctor's note and requested a few days off. Daryl called him during his fever. "Malaria? What are you, a mosquito? You've got a computer at home, don't you? Work from there." And he actually cut Tom's pay because his Excel sheet had formatting inconsistencies. I kept my head down. I needed that job. Every cent went into Eli's medication, therapy, and special diet. But one morning, Daryl called me into his office. "Caleb, got a second? I need a report on the logistic costs of the South Corridor. You'll need to cancel your weekend leave." "Sir, that's Eli's therapy weekend." "Oh, the wheelchair kid again? You're like a broken record. Tell him Daddy's busy building a career." He said it with a smirk, the kind that makes your blood boil, but your bills remind you to shut up. So, I stayed silent. Again. The following months were torture. He started calling me at midnight, screaming about spreadsheets. Once, he locked an intern in the toilet for insubordination because she didn't laugh at his joke. Another time, he slapped a temp worker's coffee mug out of his hand because it said, "World's best boss." But my breaking point came the day my world ended. It was a rainy Tuesday. I was working late, as usual. My phone rang, and when I saw the caller ID, my heart dropped.
"Mr. Caleb, it's about Eli. You need to come, now."
By the time I got there, his little chest had stopped rising. The machines were silent. I held his tiny hand. Cold, still, peaceful. And I broke. That night, I sent Daryl a message, asking for 3 days off to bury my son. The next morning, I came into work to drop some files off. He called me into his office. "Heard your boy kicked the bucket." My knees almost buckled. "Excuse me?" "Relax, Caleb. I mean, the kid was, what, never going to walk, talk, or do anything useful. Maybe it's a blessing. You can finally focus on your job." He laughed. Actually laughed. You're talking about my son." "Come on, man. Don't get emotional. People die every day. What do you want? A parade?" I turned around before I did something stupid. Walked straight out of that building. I buried my son 2 days later, alone. No friends, no coworkers, just me, a casket, and a sky that refused to rain. When I returned to work, Daryl handed me my payslip. He had deducted 3 days from my salary. "You didn't file a leave request properly. Company policy." That was the day something inside me snapped. That night, I cried until I couldn't breathe. I fell asleep on the couch with Eli's favorite blanket, the blue one with little stars on it. Then I heard him. "Daddy." I turned. He was standing there, glowing faintly, smiling, whole. "Eli? Oh God. Eli, is it really you?" He nodded and placed something folded beside me. "When you wear this, no one will see you. You'll be invisible. You can make things right." And just like that, he was gone. I woke up drenched in tears. On the couch beside me lay a strange red costume, smooth as silk, warm to the touch. I laughed at first. "It's just a dream," I said. But the next morning, curiosity got the better of me. I wore it, then stepped outside. My neighbor, old Mrs. Jenkins, walked right past me, humming, watering her plants. She didn't see me, not even a glance. My heart raced. It worked. I started carrying the costume in my bag, hidden between my files. The first time I used it, it wasn't for revenge. It was to stop a thief from stealing a woman's purse downtown. He ran, but I tripped him, invisible, and watched her get her bag back. The second time, I stopped a drunk driver from hitting a kid's bicycle. Eli's gift. It wasn't just revenge, it was justice. But one day, as Daryl's voice echoed through the office, something inside me whispered, "It's time." He was giving a big presentation to investors, bragging about how efficient his department was, how he inspired excellence. Meanwhile, he'd spent half the week making interns cry. So I slipped into the restroom, wore the costume, and walked back in unseen. Daryl was mid-sentence. "And as you'll see from the projections, wait, where's my laptop?" I had taken it, quietly, set it behind the curtain. He fumbled, red-faced. "It was just here." The investors exchanged awkward glances. He tried improvising, stammered, knocked over a cup of coffee, and ended up sweating through his shirt. They left unimpressed. He blamed the cleaning staff. I laughed silently all the way home. A few nights later, I visited his house, invisible. He was in the shower, humming some 80s tune. I crept in and turned off the water. He cursed, fumbling with the knobs. "What the hell? Did the power go out again?" I stepped out and cut the main circuit breaker. The house went pitch black. He slipped, hit his elbow against the sink, and screamed. I nearly laughed out loud. But I wasn't done. The next week, I hid a few women's panties and condoms in his briefcase while he was in a meeting. When he got home, his wife found them. The next morning, he came to work with scratches on his face and an envelope in his hand. Divorce papers. "You people think this is funny? My wife thinks I'm cheating." The interns exchanged glances. He stormed out, kicking his desk so hard his coffee spilled all over his pants. Over the next few weeks, I kept going. I'd knock papers off his desk, move his car to another spot when he wasn't looking. Once, I whispered his name softly while he was alone. "Daryl." He froze, eyes darting around. "Who's there?" The next day, he showed up late and sweaty, muttering to himself. He was cracking. Then, the final act. He was showering again. I quietly stepped in, invisible, silent. This time, I pushed him. Not hard, just enough. He slipped and hit his back against the tiles, screaming in pain. The next day, he came to work limping, his arm in a sling, muttering something about a ghost haunting him. The higher-ups began whispering. A week later, he burst into a board meeting shouting, "I know someone's after me!" Someone's invisible. They thought he'd lost his mind. And by the end of that week, he was fired. A few days later, we got a new boss, Mrs. Adora Quinn. And she was the opposite of Daryl. Kind, fair, and actually human. She restored everyone's salaries, rehired the interns, and gave us mental health days. She even stopped by my desk once.
"Caleb, I saw your record. You've been through a lot. I just wanted to say, I admire your resilience."
"Thank you, ma'am." And for the first time in years, I felt peace. Not just because of the revenge, but because I knew somewhere Eli was watching. That night, I stood by his grave and whispered, "You can rest now, little man. Daddy's okay." A soft wind brushed past me. I swear I heard his voice again, faint, giggling. I still keep the costume in my closet. Sometimes I think about using it again, not for revenge, but to help people. Because maybe that's what Eli really wanted. But every time I look at it, I remember his words. Make things right. And I think I did. Oh, and if you're wondering what happened to Daryl, he's now a motivational speaker on YouTube, ranting about invisible enemies ruining his career. He's not wrong. So yeah, that's how I avenged my son and got rid of my evil boss. If you liked the story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Because if you don't, I might just wear the suit again.